Hello, and welcome back to the M2 Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Anthony. My co-host right here is Kyle Heath. He's got his hands up. We're living the dream. We're kind of in pain. Kane's lost game 1. But that's not why you guys tuned in. The reason why you tuned in is we talk about gaming stuff. Specifically, this week in review, we're going to talk a little bit about MSI's new Claw A8. It is basically a handheld device. Pretty cool. Atomfall is apparently impossibly profitable at launch or immediately profitable. We're going to get into that. There's also some drama with Bungie and Marathon and possibly stealing a lot of content. And Mario Kart World development took close to a decade, and we're going to dive into that as well. But before we begin, Kyle, how you been, dude? How's it going? What you up to?
On the gaming front, can't say much. Not gonna lie to
That's
you.
fair.
It's continuing
I
the
feel
streak
that.
of just not gaming as much as I should, bro. It's unfortunate.
What are you doing instead? Are you like going outside? Are you touching grass?
Yeah, a little bit touching grass for sure.
That's good.
Visited a friend this past weekend. That was fun.
Oh, that's good. That's a good reason not to game. Did you guys like game at all, or are you just like chilling and hanging out?
No, I was just chilling, hanging out. You know,
They're not a gamer.
no,
It'd be like that.
not. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. So yeah, no, but that was fun. Spent much all of Saturday doing that. So it's good to get out, kind of in the, head of summer, and walking outside feeling like July. It's crazy, man.
Oh yeah.
Just want the base nuts. It's feeling pretty good there. Yeah, I don't know. I saw caught up with Last of Us. Watched the latest episode.
Oh
It
yeah.
was pretty good. Won't
That's good.
say I won't say too much about it, but it was good.
Please don't, because I haven't gotten into it yet. I keep slacking, man. Like when Sundays come around, I get kind of like I don't know. My weekends have been pretty busy just unpacking. So like I finally got most of this all set up.
There you go.
There's some more stuff to actually like style up, right?
Yeah.
Put stuff on the wall, maybe add a couple of lights. But in terms of weekend stuff, I get so busy I just forget that The Last of Us is a thing. So the episode was good, you said.
Yeah, it's very good. There's it's a little bit of a flashback kind of deal, so it's nice.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how the game was.
Oh yeah, I mean, there were
It goes
sequences
back
for
in.
sure.
Yeah, yeah. I kind of like that because it builds more suspense. It builds more context
Yeah.
for like Ellie and everybody in it. It's really cool.
Yeah. I mean, they continue to show more stuff that's really exclusive to the show too. Like, there's some scenes that just aren't in the game, and it's been
Does it
interesting.
add to it though?
It does. I mean, there's
Okay.
it does add to it. I think for the most part, it's like pretty interesting scenes and like kind of things that obviously just either didn't make the game or they didn't have time to show in the game. I mean, I've been watching a couple of interviews like the directors and they've been talking about that, and that's pretty much their points when they're asked about like, oh, the scene wasn't like in the game, why was it introduced, kind of thing. But it seems like it seems like an extreme collaborative effort between Neil Druckmann, like the main director of the game, and the actual director of the TV show, and kind of their collaboration and kind of the decisions they made to vary themselves from the game. It's been pretty interesting. So they've certainly shown a few things that I wasn't expecting, but I think really do add to the overall story, especially from like a TV perspective. Just kind of the pacing's a little different. So, I mean, overall, I think I'm pretty happy with season 2. It's not hitting as hard as season 1, but I think it's just because like just kind of the I don't know the very I guess like the different degrees in story and kind of like story beats between season 1 and season 2 is I think it did better on TV in season 1, but overall, it's still, I would still probably recommend people watch it just to check out that story in general. And it's setting up for a good season 3, I think, of kind of, the other side of the coin, so to speak. So,
So they're doing it that way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I kind of like that though. That's a good idea because Last of Us Part 2, the game, definitely had a multi-part. I like to think of it as like a 3-part chapter. There's a that's what I meant to say, like an act, ACT. So there's like an act 1, act 2, and then act 3 when everything comes together.
Yeah.
I really like that formula for storytelling. And the fact that Last of Us Part 2 kind of did that is a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So I don't know, excited to see. The finale is next week. It's literally so I think it's only 7 episodes or something like 7, 8. Yeah, shorter than the first season, so it's coming to an end, man. To an end, but
It's weird.
enjoying it so far. Outside of that, dude, was depressed last night watching these boys right here.
Did you watch the whole game?
I caught probably like 90% of it, so I didn't see like
Yeah.
every single thing, but especially towards the last like 10 minutes, it's kind of like whatever.
Yeah, it was kind of wrap about like 8 minutes remaining.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's kind of like but
Yeah, I
I don't know,
was
man. I had hope up through the second period, so you know,
Yeah, I kind of know what they were doing wrong. They were going for more hits and being physical and trying to catch uh the Panthers on their like their road travel schedule with
yeah,
just like the nature of how the playoffs were working out for them in terms of seeds. And also they had a really long best of 7 series where they're getting smoked. Like they're definitely exhausted. And the fact that the Canes came out and they just didn't play Canes puck, it's like, come on guys. Got to go back to basics. Um They honestly should have been up like 4 or 5 goals in the first period, I think. There were clear-cut chances they either whiffed on, completely, like, kind of fumbled the puck, or, Bob Broski decided to be Bob.
to that
Bob the
guy,
Builder, building the wall.
man, that guy,
Yeah.
dude. You get a sort of kind of feeling watching that guy, Um,
Yeah. I mean, if he was on our team, I'd be so stoked, though.
say no
It's
kidding,
like
dude.
it's one of those things where it's like, I don't hate the guy, he's really good. It's
We
just so
literally win the
annoying.
cup. Literally win the
Oh
cup.
yeah. Oh my gosh. We would have
Like,
won 3 years ago as well. It is what it is. I'm just happy rebuild year. We made it to the conference finals, so that's really good for the Carolinas and uh, getting more and more people involved in hockey space in this region because they've been good for so long, and the rest of our pro teams are just so unbelievably trash.
it's rough, dude.
Except for actually, Charlotte FC has been playing pretty good recently. This
Yeah, I've been
season,
keeping
they're
up.
fairly solid. They're solid.
But
They added a couple of key players, but most importantly, they actually got a quality coach. And but yeah, dude, on my end, I haven't really been gaming much at all, but I have been going all across town like that. So in terms of me unpacking and like getting everything ready and just trying to, I've been setting up the back porch, the outdoor area, have everything really good. I think I sent you guys the picture of it too.
oh yeah,
Uh,
looks so
yeah,
nice.
just like, yeah, we got lanterns out. Like I'm excited, right? But the big thing is, I'm I went and traveled all around town. So it's like for those of you that don't know, I live in Charlotte. It's a really really big city, and I'm traveling like 30-45 minutes across town per like store, and I'm going to these old retro stores
Dope.
to try to find like just random stuff that like I'm interested in. I ended up picking up Fall of Cybertron, the Transformers game, which costs shockingly more than the War for Cybertron, which is the first game. Highly recommend these games, by the way. They're on the Xbox 360 in that era of consoles. I got the one for the 360. And I
Yeah,
just was digging through all my retro console stuff. Like I got adapters for my Super Nintendo. I did a bunch of research to figure out the EverDrive, which is like you can put games on an SD card
yeah.
and use the cartridge, plug it into the Nintendo, and then you get to play like whatever the heck you want. Um, yeah, and then I saw the price tag, and I'm like, okay, well, we'll chill out for a little bit, but that's definitely going to be something that I do eventually.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. I'm looking at uh, uh significant other over here downloaded the Hello Kitty game on Nintendo Switch.
Let's go.
She was up till 3 o'clock in the morning playing that game.
That's what we're talking about,
Straight up
baby.
addicted.
That's what
I'm
we're
looking
talking
at it.
about.
I'm like, this is like open world game. What's going on? Just having a blast, constantly playing it, and that's been really cool. So the house is becoming more and more
Dude,
gaming
I love
related
to hear
again,
that, dude. Love
just
to hear
because
that.
we're finally moved in. We're not stressed as much.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and yeah, I'm just excited, dude. I'm really excited. I've been using like the PC to connect to the living room so that I can stream all my sports from the PC to the living room, and it's like picture perfect quality because the internet's better here. I'm
Yeah.
locked in, bro. It's gonna be so good.
I love
But
that,
yeah,
man. Love
a
that
lot
for
of
y'all.
lot of improvements going around
Yeah.
technology wise.
Love that for y'all. I'm happy for you to finally be, at least stress free in the personal aspect of things, which
Oh
sounds
yeah,
like y'all
yeah,
are getting there.
we're living the dream. Personal life. It's the professional work
Yeah.
life, the stuff
Oh
that
yeah.
brings the money in, and it's like, dude,
Yep.
hell.
Hell.
It's just
So
help. It's just
hell.
so much work. Well, I'm relatively positive, but there are moments, I don't know how you deal with this, but me, it's a it's stress relieving to kind of have one of those venting periods of just like
Yeah.
let it out. And
Yep.
then once I let it out, I'm like, all right, let's get to work. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, that's just kind of how it is for me. And also, if I gotta stand up and walk around, stand up and walk around, and then come back, get
Yeah.
back to work. So at the end of the day, it's just a job. My name's not on the door. We're gonna make it work,
Just yeah.
baby. We're gonna
Yep.
do right by our job and right by our
Yeah.
responsibilities,
Yep.
but we can just pick up and bail. No.
Hey man. If you live that debt free lifestyle, especially, it's even easier, you know?
Yeah,
Just
that's a fact.
click
Yeah.
saying out of
Click,
there.
click, and if you're a renter or if you have like no extreme permanent ties, like you know, have kids in school or whatever,
Yeah.
dude, what's stopping you from going to the Bahamas? I mean,
I
what's
mean
stopping you from going to the Virgin Islands, man?
I
They
mean
got internet there. You can work remote. Who cares?
yeah.
Just like, oh yeah, yeah, something's come up. Like, I have to work remote for like a month. They'll be like, really? And just like, yeah, yeah, but I'm like super efficient. So next thing you know, you're doing one of those virtual meetings and they think behind you you're on the beach, right? They think behind you is like a green screen
Yeah, it's
that's
one of
like
those, yeah.
moving and animated. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I'm just in the house.
Yeah, no. Do you like my background? Yeah, just pick this.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Just
Just
found
picked
this.
it off of yeah, just paid like a little bit of an extra from like some content creator that was using AI and apparently stole some stuff. Their name's Bungie.
Oh, good call. Forward?
Jeez.
Can't wait.
Four?
Yeah,
All right,
it's
should
crazy.
we stop ranting about the personal life stuff? Shall we jump into the first topic of discussion?
I think we should. I definitely think
Let's
we
get it.
should. We're gonna talk about MSI. New handheld. New handheld. Coming from the great old Computex, Mike. I think you've heard of it.
Think so.
MSI's new Claw A8 is powered by AMD. The MSI Claw A8 comes with a Ryzen Z2 Extreme chip. This is Emma Roth over at The Verge reporting this. MSI has revealed its latest iteration of its Claw PC gaming handheld, and this time it's powered by AMD. The company showed off the Claw A8 BZ2EM at Computex 2025, which comes with an AMD Ryzen C2 Extreme chip, along with 24 gigs of DDR5 memory. It's a bit less than the 32 gigs of memory that come with the Intel-equipped Claw 8 AI Plus, released late last year, but it still has an 8-inch Full HD display, 120 Hz refresh rate, and 1 terabyte M.2 SSD. The AMD-powered Claw A8 also will also come in two colors, white and lime green. See a little nice little image, hero image at the top
How
of
do
that.
you feel about that lime green color?
Honestly, it was kind of dope. I mean,
Kind of
some
looks
people probably
sick.
be like, it looks like vomit, but like, it's kind of sick.
I kind of like it a lot.
Yeah, I like it, dude. I'd buy that. I'd definitely buy this one over the white, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
MSI had a bit of a rough start with the release of its original Claw handheld in March of 2024, but it seemed to redeem itself with the launch of the MSI Claw 8 AI Plus. Lenovo also snapped up one of the AMD's newest handheld focused chips for the Legion Go S, but it uses the weaker Z2 Go version that my colleague Sean Hollister said can't compete with its predecessor Z1 Extreme. Good old Sean,
Close the line.
out here telling us the deets, dude. Another kind of image here, you see the handheld itself. I love the RGB on the joysticks. Love that nice MSI font and the buttons for A, B, X, Y. And nice little back buttons too on the bumpers, Mike. It's looking pretty sick.
Yeah.
There's a new
I
MSI
I like
Claw.
that.
Yeah, I like that, dude. I'm telling you, it's good. There's also buttons on. Oh, that must be like a pause
That's
button or something.
that's the big thing too is the color of it looks really sick.
I can actually. Oh, this is a good zoom in for the people on
Little
video.
accent.
Okay,
That's pretty.
that's pretty sick. Always loved the MSI Dragon. You think they would do like a more modern version? I feel like I've seen this dragon for the past like 20 years. Like,
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, I think there's some. It's not broken. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It looks like I like the badge because the badge is very similar to like Ferrari, that Ferrari
yeah,
badge,
yeah.
but it's not the horse, right? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Ferrari has a horse on
The
it, not a
shield
lion.
kind of.
I'm mixing it up.
I don't know. I'm not a car guy, dude.
Yeah, it's a horse. Yeah, but that shield style,
Yeah,
I really like that. And then the dragon, dude, you can't go wrong with the dragon. That's a classic, like Chinese dragon too.
really is honestly. In the article, there's a new MSI Claw 8 AI Plus Polar Tempest Edition too, which features an up to Intel Core Ultra 7 258V processor and a 2 TB NVMe SSD. It also has what MSI calls a glittering white coating. MSI didn't reveal a release date or price for another model, but it will likely be in the same ballpark as the standard Intel-powered MSI Claw 8 Plus, which Best Buy lists as costing $1,000.
Hmm.
A little rack for the handheld, my little
Yeah,
rack.
that's kind of. I think that's going to price out a lot of people. $1,000 is a lot uh, for this sort of thing, and they're competing directly with like the Steam Deck, the Legion Go, there's so many different handhelds now. I'm running out of them, but I don't know, dude. It's gonna be tough. I think for that type of price point to make it work. What's the other one? Ally too.
Yeah, the ROG Ally.
ROG Ally. Yeah. I don't know, man. I like the design. It looks really clean. It looks kind of small. Looks like it might fit in your hands. Pretty steady.
It's got a nice little
Looks
thickness to it.
ergonomic almost.
Yeah.
But I don't, dude. The $1,000 for me is like I don't think I'm even gonna look at it. I don't know. How do you feel?
I mean, look, I agree. I think ergonomically looks good. It has a nice beef to it, nice little
Hmm.
thickness. I think that'll feel good in most people's hands. Um, I mean, I think like I don't know. It looks. I mean, it looks pretty comfortable. So this is definitely something
Yeah.
I would love to like try out if I ever saw like a display version of it. See how it felt. I mean, it looks pretty like kind of minimalist and clean, dude. I like it.
I yeah, there's nothing like it's very aesthetically pleasing. It has a 2 TB NVMe SSD. That's always good. The processor's pretty beefy for the size of the model. Yeah, it's just that $1,000 mark is kind of tough.
And dude, full
Kind of
rack.
tough for me. Yeah, but the 120 hertz refresh rate, full HD. I mean, that's kind of nice. You know, you're good to go on those. I think it's a pretty solid handheld. I think we might be getting into that market now where as these keep coming out, there's going to be massive competition to figure out who can compete with the Steam Deck and the Switch. Because the Switch has its own like niche market where everybody likes Nintendo games, but if you want to keep playing Nintendo games, you have to get the newest console most of the time. There is some like crossover to the next generation. Nintendo's pretty good about that. Good examples like GameCube controller works with a Nintendo Wii. A lot of the GameCube games worked with the Wii. Um, the Switch is a little bit different because it went back to cartridges. So yeah, I don't know, man. I think this is just it's good to see another developer or manufacturer come into the fold and release more products.
Yeah,
Kind of set the tone.
yeah. I really dig the look of kind of the Claw 8 or
I like it
A
a
we
lot.
see at the start compared to like the Polar Tempest Intel version. Um,
Yes.
I think this one just looks nicer to. It looks
It,
ergonomically better. I don't know.
dude, yeah, it really does. I just want to go ahead and grab it. It
Yeah,
looks very, very clean. And yeah, cool.
yeah, man. I'm excited, dude. Excited to see more about this.
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be plenty more updates coming out when it's fully released and everybody's got their hands on it, other than just like a bunch of developers.
You know what's
All right,
exciting?
what you got for me?
You know what's exciting?
Atom Fall is exciting. So Atom Fall came out March 27th of this year, 2025. It's only been out for what, 2 months now. And there was a bit of a success, I guess, and might be kind of surprising to some people. The game looked phenomenal based on previews and reviews and just I don't think a whole lot of people were streaming it or making content, but I do know that the individualistic play that is Atom Fall is driving people to play it. Like we haven't had these types of games so often, it seems. Anyways, this is coming from Tom Phillips over at IGN. He wrote an article called Atomfall Immediately Profitable at Launch Despite Countless Players Coming from Game Pass. The developers discussing sequel plans. So that's pretty cool. Um, yeah, let's just go ahead and jump into it. Atomfall developer Rebellion has said that its hit British survival game became immediately profitable upon release, despite the fact that a chunk of its 2 million players came from Xbox Game Pass and therefore did not buy the title outright for themselves. We actually covered this. Maybe they'll mention this in the article. But the Xbox Game Pass, Phil Spencer went ahead and explained how that works. So you basically have a subscription as a user, and then you're able to play all the games you want. Now, the way the the money that's spent on the subscription for Game Pass is divvied up amongst the developers is entirely based on user count. So if you have a certain amount of people playing for an extended amount of time, that's worth value. And by that, Xbox reimburses in a way the developers for adding their game for free or like an add-on bundle package that is Game Pass. So I always thought that was a really good idea and it's a good incentive to make good games for Game
Oh yeah,
Pass.
for sure.
Yeah, and it also helps most importantly, it really helps out the indie developers that don't have the connections to really mass produce
Oh
like
yeah,
the hard copies. I mean, that used to be a concern. It's not really anymore because everything's now gone digital. But it's not as much heavy lifting for them. It's just okay. We'll just send it to Xbox and they'll implement it into their ecosystem for us,
yeah.
so long as it like meets whatever requirements they have. But yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. So Rebellion has not revealed sales figures for Atomfall, which launched for PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox X and S back in March 27th, 2025. Instead, the developers simply discussed the fact that Atomfall has been its biggest ever launch in terms of player numbers, something that will have been aided by Game Pass subscribers simply checking the title out via Xbox and PC. So there's a bit of a video review in this article on IGN if you guys wanted to check it out. But we'll continue on. So, still, Atomfall has clearly not suffered as a result. Speaking to the game business, Rebellion said the post apocalyptic Northern England simulator has immediately made back its development costs. And now Rebellion says the studio is currently discussing plans for potential sequels or spin offs while continuing work on Atomfall's ongoing post launch support and DLC. In a previous interview with IGN's sister site, GameIndustry.biz, Rebellion boss Jason Kingsley said that Atomfall's launch as part of the Game Pass had successfully avoided the risk of cannibalizing sales. And he goes on to say and explain what you gain from the cost is disproportionate, noting that however a game sells, Microsoft does not guarantee a certain level of income to mitigate risk. Additionally, launching via Game Pass ensures the title is marketed and made available to a wide audience, aiding its potential for positive word of mouth to boost sales further. So sorry, not Adam. It is Kingsley over here. First name Jason. Sorry, yeah, Jason Kingsley continued on by saying, "With Game Pass, you can get people to try it. Then, as a result of those people trying it, they like it, and they then tell their mates on social media, 'I found this game on Game Pass. I really enjoyed it. You should have a go.'" So he continues saying, and then some of them are on Game Pass and will play it, but some of them aren't on Game Pass and will also want to be part of that conversation. So they'll go and buy it. That's a good point. You know what a good example of this is for me personally? Is Ori and the Blind Forest. How many times have I been plugging that game? And that started on the Game Pass. And
Crazy.
I've been plugging that game for forever, and I know people I've worked with have, like, picked up the game and started playing it, and the reason I sold it to them is they're always like, I only play sports games, I don't play any other games anymore, video games are boring," or they don't like video games anymore because things change. I was like, Go play Ori and the Blind Forest." It's old school classic style gameplay with a really modern, twist to it. Storytelling's phenomenal. The game looks amazing, so go play it. But anyways, Microsoft keeps details of its business agreements with developers confidential, so we can but guess at how much money Atomfall has made for both Rebellion and Microsoft itself, the latter of whom obviously benefits when games attract players to its subscription offering. The latest Xbox Game Pass subscriber count released publicly by Microsoft is now somewhat outdated, but it placed the service at 34 million users as of February 2024. So that's pretty intense. IGN, just a bit of a plug for what IGN said about an Atom Fall review. And they said Atom Fall is a gripping survival action adventure that takes some of the best elements of Fallout and Elden Ring and synthesizes them into its own fresh mutation. So, yeah, Atomfall is pretty cool. The trailer looks amazing, and obviously it's a banger. So go check it out.
I'm really curious to know what the Game Pass subscribers are now, current day, as of what is it, May 2025 at this point.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of crazy. I'm kind of surprised they haven't done a public kind of figure count at this point, which makes me wonder, like, oh, because like 2024, like, sure, they probably fell off some. I can imagine, from like the news and kind of Microsoft and hot water about laying people off and blah blah blah.
Well, the
But
Game Pass is a subscription number though.
yeah,
So it's not a consumer. It really comes down to like what people can afford, I guess. They raise the rates
I mean
while
that
laying
too.
people off.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like, there's that, raising the rates, like all that. Like, it probably went down. I'm sure. I'd be curious to see kind of what it has been the past few months after we're just getting banger after banger in the Game Pass library
That's
that
a good point. Yeah.
Xbox releasing, and to see if any of that growth was brought back. But I mean, it's good to hear about the Atomfall stuff. It's good to. It makes me feel good knowing that games like Atomfall are seeing very quick profits, and it's kind of
Yeah.
proving the Game Pass model isn't just a scam to these developers, and they actually can get serious value
That's a good
quickly out of
point.
them.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
Makes you feel really good to see that. So I'm very happy for Atomfall in this team, man. That's definitely a huge victory to get profitability that quickly, especially in today's market.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's a good take. My guess is that if I had to guess, right, obviously, I think Game Pass would probably grow. I'm sure estimates probably like maybe 10% at most per year. So I'm sure that 34 million maybe went up to like in a good year, like 36, 37 uh million subscribers. That's still a pretty big increase. It just really depends. Yeah. But
Yeah,
it is pretty cool to see how it's like you're getting a good chance for these developers to release through a subscription model that's bringing more people to their game. And the cool thing about Game Pass now is in the past, they would only give Game Pass to Xbox exclusive games. We just discussed how it's on pretty much every platform right now. It's on PC. Now, PC and Game Pass are like one and the same for Xbox. Uh, but then the fact that it's on both PlayStation 4 and 5, that's a big deal. Uh,
yeah.
it's pretty cool.
That's kind of crazy
But
that.
this whole
Yeah.
article is only about Game Pass, though.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, no, I mean, it's a good point. I mean, it's hard to find. I mean, and a lot of people are like, why is this game on PS4? Like, how old that console is at this point.
Yeah, it
Why
is
are we still
pretty old,
developing for that?
but
Um,
it's pretty powerful.
but I
I'm
mean,
just saying.
it's making a game that's this successful on consoles that are that old and function on consoles that old is honestly kind of impressive to me. So I give it to him. But it's absolutely crazy, dude. It's good to see these Game Pass wins. Been a lot of wins recently for Game Pass, and it's good to know Atomfall, which is kind of like a lesser promoted, lesser known kind of game, still did really well. So the model is working, especially for people and developers that really put time and effort into their vision. So good to see.
Yeah, yeah, it's cool. I wonder though. It's like, is are they ready for an Atomfall 2 sequel? Like a sequel to Atomfall to be Atomfall 2? Have they finished the first one? Is the game fully developed? Because there are a
Yeah,
lot of questions that need to be answered here. I do like the idea of them being very optimistic about, okay, yeah, all our development costs, yeah, we covered everything just by going on Game Pass, just on the Xbox side of things. We're profitable. That means nobody gets laid off, which means more time to hire more people to take care of the existing game, but also develop a new one. I think that's a healthy thing to see in what feels like 2 years of just constant layoffs from some of our favorite developers.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I totally agree. It's really good to see, um, and who knows, dude? It's at the end of the day, you have to make a good product to make enough
That's the
sales to
key.
profit, and then
That's
actually
true.
grow. So
Yes,
people need to take note for sure. But I think it's good
that's
to
right.
see growth in the years that have been layoffs, this layoff, that.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Who's ready for a downer?
What else is very good? Oh, yeah. I was like, "What is very good?" And you're like, Here comes a downer.
I don't know. It's kind of a downer, but hey, I thought it was a good opinion piece by Paul Tassi on the state of marathon. It also touches on some developments that have been made on the marathon title by Bungie this over this past week that I feel like are worth mentioning. And I don't know.
It's gonna be a tough one.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough one for sure, but I don't know, worth covering. So it's just over for marathon. At least that's what Paul Tassi says, senior contributor over at the Forbes. It's an interesting one. So
yeah, accusations are flying.
And so this is all in the perspective of Paul, obviously, as I read it. Just keep that in mind.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
I've tried to put this off for a while now, give Marathon the benefit of the doubt in terms of fixing what ails it and maybe snagging an audience that's large enough to make it at least sustainable. But no, it's over. That's what he says. I can't dispute this anymore. This has probably always been true, but the events of the past week have cemented it. I will get into the live stream and plagiarism and all of that later, but this is a long, long list of what's wrong of what's gone wrong in the past, what's currently going wrong in the future does not look any brighter. So again, a bit of a lengthy one, but I think it's a good context for everybody to understand the full picture.
I think it matters though, because it's an opinion article, but it really dives into it. And I think it's relatable with a lot of other developers as well, the way they're handling things.
Yeah, it is an opinion piece, but also like backed with some evidence and some observations. So the concept, the entire idea of this game was a mistake. Bungie has said that this came from a bunch of them playing Tarkov a while ago, and I heard among that group, it was one good old boy in leadership who pushed to make this Bungie's biggest non-Destiny project. It was meant to be the rebirth of a strong IP for the studio, now under Sony, which assumed it would produce another hit like this. The game attempts to split the difference between casual players who may be new to extraction shooters and existing hardcore extraction players it would like to pilfer from games like Tarkov. And it will do neither. Paul's pretty crazy. He goes pretty hard. I'm just saying, everyone. Pretty hard in the zone.
Yeah, it's true. But I mean, sometimes you don't miss. So.
You are never going to make an extraction shooter that is casual enough, because the concept of being able to lose your loot, potentially your entire vault if you go on bad runs, is exhausting as you try to give the game a genre a chance. In addition to that, players will be losing all of their gear and all the upgrades they've gotten in a season no matter what. That may be how this genre functions, but it's not going to be attractive to many players that have not already played the genre. I think it is very true for extraction shooters, and it's probably part of the reason why I've never personally gotten into them. It's because it's like it's fun, like if you're playing with people and you get a good exfil and you're like, oh yeah, dude, I'm feeling great, like I got all this loot, and then like you die later on and lose it. It's kind of like there's some novelty and something fun about being like, okay, well I lost everything, time to rebuild, and like, but after a few times, it's kind of just like I could just do something better with my time. I feel like just trying to hammer on this game.
You know what I find interesting about like Escape from Tarkov, of these like extraction shooters, you're kind of doing it's kind of like a job.
Yeah,
like you have to go out and achieve things, and there's a goal. I totally get that. Like most video games are like that, but the reason why extraction shooters are different are for the reasons that Paul Tassi says here. The level of failure is so high. Like you could lose all of your progress within 10 minutes of a new drop.
Yeah.
And that's pretty intense. Like a lot of people love that, but if you don't have the hours or the time to grind back 10 freaking hours worth of playing to get all that stuff back, I mean, and there's a little bit of RNG to it, right? So you can kind of feel like you're getting cheated as well. It's a really tough sell, in my opinion.
I think it is too. Let's continue. It's probably even worse on the hardcore player end, with Tarkov players scoffing at how easy Bungie has made Marathon. Everything from gear looting to time to kill to double revives in combat. I've seen almost no established extraction shooter players that are eager to jump over to Marathon for anything but a trial run based on what they've seen and played. Talking about gameplay. And what we've seen and played is the next point. Neither are good. Either you've been an outside observer watching gameplay trailers and Twitch streams, or you got into the closed alpha and played for yourself. The game feels uninspired. The shooting in Marathon is fine, but the experience doesn't compare to other titles from Bungie, which has produced some of the best feeling shooters of all time. It feels like a slower version of Apex Legends with maybe one team fight per round, and in between battling with USC bots, which I do think can actually be fun in some instances. The idea that this is an extraction shooter that should use a hero model has not landed well at all. It seems woefully unbalanced with full invincibility and wall hacks and things that should not be in the genre. It destroys the idea of making a fully custom character like other games, something most players like. It feels like a
Yeah.
solution where a problem did not exist. An experiment to make the game stand out, but it just made it worse. Oof.
That's pretty harsh, but he's making compelling arguments.
Yeah. None of
Yeah, I'm
this
all
was
about
helped.
customization.
I mean, yeah,
Sorry.
like all about the character stuff, right? Like, because
Yeah,
you've talked about that
I'm
before.
all about that so
Yeah.
many times.
Being able to be your own thing, you know?
Yeah, make it your own and then put yourself in the shoes
Yeah.
of like I said, it being a job. You want to create yourself like a representation of who you are. It doesn't have to be what you look like, but how you feel,
Yeah.
like something you can relate to, and you want to take it in, and then like you got to take it seriously because you could lose everything.
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah, it's very tough to sell.
Tough so. None of this was helped that at the exact same time, Marathon's alpha was interrupted by an Arc Raiders alpha, a much more traditional extraction shooter and a much better one by all accounts. It has more polish, more fun, more expected features found in extraction shooters. All you have to do is look at the fact that Arc Raiders player count went up every single day of its alpha, where Marathons almost always went down. By the end, it was sub 20% of what it started with. Twitch viewers were even worse, going from 150,000 at launch as big streamers tried it, crashing to 1 to 3,000 a few days later near the end,
Yo,
where big chunks of that
yo.
might even be 1 or 2 Destiny streamers alone. Oof. People ain't want to
Yikes.
watch it. Oof. Tough. It's tough. Future plans and price. Oh, I can't wait for the roast the price. It's
Yeah,
not just how the
okay.
game it's not just how the game currently feels and plays, it's what's apparently planning for the future. Yeah, this is something I'm hearing about their future, like a roadmap and stuff. It's like it's gonna make you scratch your head. This was half the problem with the recent live stream, where sure, the vibes were bad from the recent plagiarisms from the start, but hearing game director Joe Ziegler and others talk about it, the constant refrain was, we're looking about that. We're looking about that, we're thinking about that. The bulk of that, the bulk of the talk was about minor balance changes, shield health, backpack swaps, stack size, faction differentiation. Asked to name the biggest issue they found coming out of the alpha, Ziegler rattled off a list of impossibly small issues. Hugely requested things like proximity chat, solos were hand waved away and relegated to some possible future plan. It is absolutely insane that Bungie has not taken to heart the feedback about how this game feels to play solo. It feels like the only way to play Marathon is stacked with friends on comms, is playing with randoms is at best a flip coin, whether it's awful or fine. Going in solo and
Oh,
skulking around like a rat avoiding all combat is boring. Oof. Solo extraction shooters, man. That's
I will say it sounds like Paul Tassi knows his shooters, extraction shooters.
oh man.
My man's locked in, and he's making very obvious complaints where I'm just like, yeah, I didn't really think about that, but yeah, I would never play a solo extraction shooter. It's so boring.
Yeah.
I barely want to play like battle royales by myself.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, dude, this man was cooking for days on this, I can tell.
Oh yeah, he's been sitting on this.
Because the game ignores solos, that means you need to convince 2 friends to buy it, likely at an upcoming $40 price point. It is too late in development to switch to free to play. Not that the genre is built for that anyway, but painfully few people have played the game and thought it was worth that price. Without a delay at launch, it will have 2 more heroes, some new weapons and gear, and 1 to 2 more maps. That's it. It's a tiny amount of content for that price on top of a game that, as of yet, is not very fun for most players. I mean, like,
Yikes.
you're asking for a premium on this, and it's like, especially when I heard that, it's like, oh, there's only going to be like 2 maps, maybe get some more heroes. That's going to be kind of the launch, and then what they're saying, what they're claiming, and he might get to it, but what they're claiming to make the game, different from its, contemporaries is the new map that they're going to be releasing post-launch, and then the rank mode that's also post-launch. So it's like the game's not even launching with the features that they think are going to propel this into the stratosphere. And now we get to the fun part, plagiarism. Let's talk about it. Now we arrive at the massive controversy of art theft. The revelation that a supposed ex-Bungie artist outright stole a large amount of art from Anti-Real, an artist with a portfolio extremely similar to Marathon's vibes. And we're not talking inspired by. These pieces of art are one-to-one rips to the point where Bungie has to audit its entire game to see how many of these there might be. During the live stream, they couldn't even show the game because it was being torn apart internally for this process. Yeah. I don't know if they might. Hopefully, they show something. Anyway, within a matter,
they do. It's the next image, by the way. But did you see the original post?
Oh yeah,
by Anti-Real.
Yeah,
it went
it's crazy,
like turbo viral.
Yeah, it did, and people were like, "You have a case," like because originally she was talking about not suing. Like she was like, "I don't know if I have the the funds and the means to sue, and I don't think I'm doing." Everyone in the comments was like,
the funds.
"You literally will win. Like if they release this game, sue and you win. Like it's just that easy." Anyways, within a matter of hours, as this began to spread virally, Bungie issued a statement saying it was a former Bungie artist who included the decals in a texture sheet, in quotes, that ultimately went into the game. The issue was supposedly unknown by the existing art team, but obviously many, many questions have been raised about all this as Bungie continues to investigate. And then there's a nice little image here. Anti-Real posting some crazy good-looking art. And there's certain aspects of this that are quite literally one-to-one rips in the game.
They are 100% one-to-one rips. And the graphic that they did is just so spot on of like, this is where it is. This is where it is. Like, it's highlighting it.
Just ripping all this.
I don't know.
You see it.
Just hypothetically, would you have made a social media post if you were Anti-Real? Or would you wait until the game's release and then go to a lawyer?
I mean, this is the thing. This is the situation Bungie's in. It's not a great one, obviously, but it's like they could release the game, and it's like if they release the game, they're screwed because the lawsuit's coming, and they're gonna have to give up a lot of money and then not be profitable. Or it's like they just delay the game for a long period, and they'd have to delay for a while probably to strip out all this and redo it. Like it wouldn't be a short delay, I don't think. So it's like it's either you lose a bunch of money, release the game, lose a bunch of money, or delay the game, lose a bunch of money, and potentially, just be dead in the water. So it's like there's just not a good position for Bungie, I feel like.
No, they're in a world of hurt right now. This is
they're just between a rock and a hard place as to what they should do, honestly. The narrative spread as players realized that a number of Bungie's artists, including art director Joseph Cross, followed Anti-Real for years. It's likely true that Marathon's overall style came from any number of sources from years or decades past, though this fact, along with the direct lifting from Anti-Real, exploded into theorizing that this was a larger problem. Mayan, two for a time, Paul says. But even if the entire soul of Marathon wasn't taken from one artist, art director Joe Cross and members of his team allowed this massive portfolio plagiarism to make it through from being stolen allegedly 5 years ago to being plastered all over the current build of the game. Mass incompetence to the craziest degree.
Yeah.
This has slit the throat of Marathon. The one thing Marathon had going for it was its unique art style and cool vibes. Now it will be impossible to bring that up without the plagiarism being referenced. Memes were instantly born during the apology portion of the live stream, including plagiarism will make me God. And they were renaming a Marathon to Art Raiders.
No.
That's going to stick forever. There is no escaping this. Not that vibes were good before, but they are dismal now with Marathon a laughingstock after this happened, or even worse, outright anger that this was allowed to take place in the game. Players refusing to play and support the game as a result. Yeah, no kidding, dude. People are going to be checked out so hard from that.
That's such a shame because I remember so many people that the Halo community in particular, because Bungie, obviously, they made Halo about like 35 years ago. And what's going on is like a lot of the Halo streamers and content creators were so very excited that Bungie was making a new shooter with Marathon. They thought it was going to be Arena, and then they found out it's Extraction. And they're like, oh, okay, well, I'll still play it. It looks cool. Like, I love the art style. It looks clean. And then that was the vibe about a year and a half ago, maybe a year ago.
Yeah.
And now we're at the point of like, yeah, this game is now art raiders. Uh, Everything is ruined. It's not going to be able to survive. Like the twisting
Yeah,
of
the
fate
narrative has
is
shifted
brutal,
so hard.
so brutal, man.
It's yeah, total 180, man. It's rough. A delay. It's the next section. Marathon will not fundamentally change enough to be attractive to most players. Community sentiment will not change enough to turn things around on that end. A delay does not significantly change any of this, but it may be the only option. It would be impressively stupid to actually release this game in 4 months, given both these recent events and that we're only seeing a small amount of new content and some balance and visual polishing for launch. But you simply cannot cancel this game at this point after over 5 years of work, even if it should have died ages ago. Sony alone would never allow that. But it's like, and like we see that, but then it's like also Conquered. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know I'm pretty sure that was it.
Yeah, dude.
And I was,
Yeah,
I mean, granted it's not Bungie, right? But like, still, like that was
but
it didn't work for a while. So
but also Concord wasn't a stolen IP or stolen ideas. It kind of was, but it kind of wasn't. It was like just another hero-based shooter
yeah,
that why would you go play it? There are other versions that are
yeah,
more interesting.
yeah,
Like that was
exactly.
their problem. But this is just blatantly egregious.
Yeah. A delay is the only real option, but I don't think it changes enough to be useful. It will create distance from the current awfulness, but I have seen nothing to indicate this is going to be some transformative rebirth. The core concept of a hero shooter extraction game will not change. It will not erase the plagiarism that happened. It will not. Unavoidable failure. Here we go. Let's talk about this rocket
Yikes.
artifice.
All right. Look.
I previously said that Marathon will not be Conquered 2.0. While I still
He did.
technically believe that, it's more of a matter of just how badly this will fail, not whether it will fail at all. I do not expect it to get 700 concurrent Steam players like Conquered, nor be scrapped in 2 weeks by Sony, but it will not do well. This is set in stone right now, barring some sort of miracle airdrop of players and goodwill from the heavens. This will hurt Bungie and its actual healthy child destiny. There will be layoffs. There will be Sony takeover of leadership as they bail out with millions invested cash. The only thing I
Yo.
don't believe will happen is the complete delusion of Bungie, as that would be a bridge too far in terms of Sony being embarrassed. A storied brand has collapsed under its tenure when they paid $3.6 billion for. It also would be horrible. It would also be a horrible look to immediately kill another game like they did with Conquered. And Marathon will be given some time to fix and improve things. I don't think any amount of time will be enough. I realize this is an utterly brutal article. Yeah, no kidding, Paul. Don't.
He's like, please don't let me lose my
He said,
connects over at Bungie.
literally.
That's what that is.
But at this point, there's no doubt the writing is on the wall, and it's disingenuous to ignore that. I will continue to cover the game. If good things happen, I will write about that. If bad things keep happening, I will write about that. But I think it's overwhelmingly bad things from here.
Yikes.
Paul Tassi at the Forbes, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Paul Tassi also was at The Verge for a while, I think. I respect that article. That takes kind of some guts because you know you're going to be pissing off some people that are like you work with
Yeah,
on a regular basis and they're your informants about like what's going on in the industry. And he's naming people. Like these are people that he's probably have met. He's been in the industry for a long time.
yeah,
Uh, that takes some guts. And
yeah,
I think it's pretty true. I mean,
yeah.
yeah.
It's
It's
you know, there's more to this too. The article didn't mention that I saw reported, and like the different conspiracy theories out there that get interesting. Kind of the tinfoil hat takes, where it's like this is like Sony essentially, like they laid off a bunch of people at Bungie, right? Like they're setting up this game. Essentially, there was a theory that they're setting up this game to fail so that the higher levels can essentially like bail out and then just like exit with a crap ton of money because they invested so
oh
much in
my
it. That's like there's like takes like
I've
that where it's kind of like, oh, that's a little out there. I mean, it's a little kind
it's
of
out
like
there, but
evil. I don't know, but
it's out there, but it's not far fetched because I've seen some ridiculous stuff where like acquisitions go through and you get higher ups from the acquired company just go into a motion of coasting because the contracts are usually I work in consulting. So the contracts are usually you have to stick around for a couple of years because your clients need to stick around for a couple of years, but they'll have a clause that they can terminate you if it's based on performance, but
yeah,
you still get paid out what you're owed.
crazy.
Yeah, otherwise you wouldn't sign the contract. Why would you be acquired if you don't get paid what you're owed?
Yeah.
right? So they're like, okay, well, I got hired and I don't want to work here anymore because it's not my company anymore. So I'm just not going to do anything and you're going to fire me eventually. So
Yeah.
I've literally seen people do that and they just won't go into the office for weeks. They just wait to get fired. So I don't rule it completely out, that the self-sabotage might have happened. I think it's very far-fetched, but
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah, it's wild, man. It's just yeah, I mean, from the start, it's always been weird. It's like I had high hopes for this game going into before we saw
Same.
like gameplay and trailers and all that, and then they did the reveal. It's like okay, it looks kind of cool, and then like you start hearing more about like the launch and what they're planning to do and kind of how they're planning this game out post launch and stuff, and
Yep.
it's like they're sitting there talking about like oh this is a not pre-alpha, but they're like, this is like alpha stage. And it's like, oh, when's the game
They
coming
did
out? It's
say
like,
that,
oh,
yeah.
it's like 5 months. It's like, okay, wait, you're an alpha, and this is like you're launching in 5 months? That does not seem right. So it's like
No.
ever since I heard that, I was kind of like my ears perked up when I
Skeptical.
heard that. I was like, I don't know. This does not seem like a game that is ready to launch in 5 months from this out of it. So there's just features that just aren't going to launch with it that are pivotal into what they think is going to make this some crazy game. It just
Yep.
doesn't look good, man.
And it does not. No, I agree with you. It's going to be complicated, and I don't. He might have made a good point. Like it could be kind of over for Bungie when it comes to marathon right
Yeah.
now,
It
and
seems dead in
that's
the
a
water.
shame because they don't have anything else in the pipeline other than Destiny DLCs.
Yeah, Destiny Star Wars stuff, and it's like the only
Yeah.
thing I
Okay. Yeah. I
like.
mean that's cool, but you really going to make a career off of that? No,
I
you want to
mean,
create a new IP and a new game, and this was their chance. I don't know, dude. I'm so sick of these like small indie devs that end up blowing up off a couple of IPs and then they become AAA devs and then they just lose their way. They start regurgitating and taking ideas from elsewhere. And apparently now they're taking them from 5-year-old art concepts that somebody made and posted on Twitter. Like, come
yeah, dude,
on.
it's just
You
insane,
can't
man.
be
Like,
doing that.
really can't. But it's like I don't know. It all goes back to like this like this Sony and this era of live service games and like what Jim Ryan and all them did, where it's like they're getting all these live service games and then they're either getting canned, they're not doing well, and it's just like and these studios are starting to get away from them and like now we're not doing that anymore. Like let's go back to single player and actually make like good
Yeah.
single player stuff.
And it's been paying off in like certain circumstances where you have really good single player games coming out, winning game of the year. That's awesome, but at the same time, you got to just keep doing new things. A
Yeah,
good campaign, good story driven content with PvP, extraction shooters, stuff like that. I don't think there is an extraction shooter that has a campaign. I don't even know how you would do that. I guess it would have to be like a Battlefield style game where you create like a super soldier or something like that, or maybe like a progressive game. I, it'd be so
yeah,
hard to come up with. I don't know, but it's a challenge, and I think that's where the industry needs to start going, is leaning towards that kind of stuff. New
yeah.
games or a twist, not the same stuff that we've been seeing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think I would agree. It's definitely a different direction needed, but the live service stuff is just like this is not just
It's
not
crash and
it's
burning.
at this point it's seen its time, I feel like, and need to move
Yeah,
on.
good riddance. Been a
You know,
while
it's
since they did it
you know
right.
what's moving on, but in a good way. But like, we're still seeing more of it.
What's that?
Mario Kart.
Mario Kart. Mario.
Mario.
I told you at the beginning of the show, I was been trying to look at the retro games, and for the life of me, I've been trying to find an N64 Mario Party 2, 3, and 4. I think 4 is on it. Definitely 2 and 3 were the main ones that I was trying to find. Couldn't find it. Getting so upset. But there's another store that I gotta go check out. Probably do that this weekend. I'll report back. But boy, oh boy, is that a hike. Anyways, let's get into this article. We're talking about Patrick Hernandez over here. Oh, sorry, not Patrick. Patricia. Sorry about that. Patricia Hernandez over at Polygon. She wrote an article called Mario Kart World has been in development for 8 years as Nintendo struggled to improve a perfect formula. Mario Kart World began as a game for the first Switch, Nintendo reveals. Interesting. It has been kind of weird how there hasn't been a Mario Kart game for a long time since Mario Kart 8. So
Yeah.
let's get into, I guess, a little bit of background, a little bit of investigative journalism going on here. Let's see what Patricia had to say. If you asked any Nintendo fan prior to the reveal of Nintendo Switch 2, and they'd likely tell you that the world would never see a sequel for Mario Kart 8. Uh, why would Nintendo bother? A full decade after its release, the latest entry is in the iconic racing franchise kept selling like hotcakes. In the age of live service games, a company like Nintendo could simply continue updating the base game to its existing base of customers, right? Honestly, that's a good point because we covered this, what, 3 years ago about how Mario Kart 8 had an entire DLC planned of map packs that they were going to
Yeah,
be releasing. And
yeah,
they were down to a T of like when it was going to release. And like, it's a perfect thing. Now, when
yeah.
I load up Mario Kart 8, the whole time I'm thinking, like, man, shoot, I should have like bought the DLC because I played the base stuff and I'm like, oh yeah, I can keep doing that. Thanks. This article is reminding me to go buy the DLC now. Except, as it turns out, the article continues, Nintendo was not merely sitting on its laurels. According to a new developer diary for Mario Kart World, the Japanese developer has quietly been working on a follow up for Mario Kart 8 for a long time now. Technically, Nintendo was already thinking about what it might do in the next game during the development of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Actual prototype development began in March 2017, a few years after the initial 2014 release of Mario Kart 8. Dude, it has been a
That
long
is
time. Holy
crazy. That is
crap.
crazy, dude.
Jeez. All right. Well, everyone assumed that Nintendo was just watching the money pile up. That's a song reference.
Mhm.
The reality was that Mario Kart World was initially intended for the original Nintendo Switch. The booster course packs that Nintendo released for Mario Kart 8 were an attempt to buy itself time while it figured out how to approach the next game. That's what I was talking about, like the DLC packs, the booster course packs. What took so long? Well, as it turns out, one upping the most popular game in your modern catalog isn't easy. So, this is the Mario Kart producer, Kosuke Yabuki. I always feel like I mess up her name or their name. So I felt that in the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, we were able to protect the formula that we'd been following in the series up to that point, where players race on individual courses. That's why this time we wanted the gameplay to involve players driving around a large world, and we began creating a world map like this. Nintendo knew that it couldn't simply create new courses and characters and call it a day. Had that been the case, the sequel would have gone with a more uh, iterative. I always struggle with these
Iterative.
types of words, man. Iterative,
Iterative.
iterative title, like Mario Kart 9. So Ibuki went ahead and continued. In previous Mario Kart games, after finishing a course, you'd move on to the next course. However, I thought that the modern technology, being able to seamlessly transition between courses and realize a single vast world, wasn't beyond the realm of possibility. So, with this in mind, we set out to create a new kind of Mario Kart. And if you go watch the trailer or the preview, it's quite similar to the Forza Horizon games, where you get to drive from one course to the next, and it's kind of like an obstacle course. It's very adventure-ish of
Giant map.
open world. It's very much similar to Forza, and honestly, that format is so good. Mario Kart's already super fun, and I know that like this is gonna be kind of funny to people that do iRacing or they do more realistic versions of Forza. But Forza Horizon can be kind of intimidating for casual race gaming fans. Um, so to play Mario Kart that's a little cartoony, but also can be kind of competitive, it's something for everybody, right? It's not all about winning. It's just about having fun and make it to the end kind of game.
Yeah.
Uh, I like the twist to add that kind of concept to Forza. It could really bring a new audience into that format of racing games. Very, very
Yeah.
cool. All right, so another wrinkle for Nintendo was the knowledge that many franchises were reinventing themselves in similar ways as the open world structure became vague or vogue. How would Mario Kart fit into the mix? Hearing Nintendo describe its conundrum, it really seems as if the company felt an immense pressure after the explosive success of Mario Kart 8. It then became easy to overthink minor details. Apparently, Mario Kart World's creators often found themselves saying things like, well, that's how we did it in the last game. Interesting. So, programming director Kenta Sato explains that from a player's perspective, it can sometimes feel particularly disappointing when a sequel changes too many things. So, as someone involved in game development, I felt that our first challenge was to figure out how to add new elements while still making it satisfying for those who played previous Mario Kart games. Beyond mental roadblocks, Nintendo had to contend with technical hiccups as well. The Switch, as we know, is not a particularly powerful piece of hardware, which complicated the prospect of having 24 players in a single race. So Sato went ahead and explained further. When we were developing for the Nintendo Switch system, it was difficult for us to incorporate everything we wanted. So we were always conscious of what we were giving up in return. We discussed things like toning down the visuals, lowering the resolution, and we were even considering dropping the frame rate to 30 FPS in some cases. It was a tough situation. Do not drop the FPS. Bro, I play 30 FPS today in the year 2025. You cannot go like 60 to 30 FPS is freaking massive, man. It
Yeah.
is a big deal. It's highly noticeable. Your input feels weird. You're gonna, it can give you a headache, honestly. When I pulled out this big box CRT that's right next to me and plugged in that Xbox, and you're playing Halo and the explosions go off and you're getting like 12 frames per second in some cases, it hurts your head, man. It hurts your
Yeah.
eyes. So if you're
You know
used
what?
to playing competitive gaming, 140, and now you're over here with 30, nah.
Hey man,
Yeah.
I'm gonna break some news to you. Ready for this?
Oh,
Could you take a guess at what GTA 6 is likely gonna be at frame wise?
30.
Probably. Like, there's a
You-
good chance it's probably gonna be 30. Just
yeah, you're
saying.
probably
I don't want
right
to burst your
because of
bubble,
the
but
issues that they're saying. Yeah.
yeah.
But
But
here's the
like,
difference.
it's a
Here's
huge
the
game.
difference. Here's the difference. It's a third party story driven game in a very huge open world. It's massive, like you just said.
Details nuts.
Um, yeah, details crazy. If you're on the PC, you could probably boost it up,
Yeah.
and it kind of can go unlimited, and the
Whenever the
performance is
PC
only going to be
version
better.
launches, that is. Yeah.
Right. That's a good asterisk to throw in there. Um, yeah, but it's not a racing game. It's not where
It's true.
frame rate really matters.
It's true.
You cannot do a 30 FPS
Yeah.
shooter. You
Yeah.
do, bro. I let me
Yeah.
just play on my mobile phone. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you can't do that to me.
Yeah.
That would be tough. I'm glad they avoided that decision. It sounds like they made the right decision so far. But we got two more paragraphs here, and then we'll let the fine people go because I know we're reaching our personal hourly mark. So eventually, once the prospect of a more powerful Switch was tangible, Nintendo didn't have to think about how to pull off Mario Kart World in terms of trade offs. The Switch 2 suddenly opened up a bunch of possibilities of what we could do. Ibuki said it was truly a ray of hope, and I don't doubt it. You're dealing on a console that's like over 10 years old.
Yeah, literally.
So,
You're pushing the
and you're
limits,
like,
buddy.
yeah, you've been pushing the limits. So, to have that upgrade is always nice. You can read the full multi part developer diary here. There's a highlight and it takes you to Nintendo.com, what's new, and there's Ask the Developer Volume 18 that you guys can go check out. But where they share details like how Nintendo came up with a playable cow and how food became such an important design pillar for Mario Kart World. No word, however, on how the Moo Moo cow feels about our comrades' ability and willingness to pull up next to her eating a, a cheeseburger.
Ooh,
I didn't even think about that, but that's so true.
that's crazy to look at.
It's
Crazy.
cannibalistic, man. I've also seen some nutty stuff where I can't it had to be in a movie and it had to be a skip because there's just no way. Um this woman in the show, I'm gonna say it was a show because it was a comedy and it was like dark comedy. They had a pet chicken that they didn't know what to feed, and the person that had the pet chicken was very ditzy and dumb and fed it chicken,
Oh
not
man,
knowing that
rough.
like they because you know how like everybody just kind of eats chicken.
Yeah, exactly.
Most people, I mean,
Yeah,
obviously there's some people that don't, but like it's a very, very common thing. It tastes like chicken, that kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So I guess when you use it, like the character was so ditzy that they figured when you said I'm gonna give them food, they literally attributed the way you say food is so generic to the same way they attributed like
Gave him a piece
chicken.
of chicken.
Yeah, just give him a piece of chicken. and then fed them chicken. They're like, "What did you just say? You're gonna feed a chicken chicken,
Like,
cooked
what?
chicken." Now you got Moo Moo the cow, a legendary
Crazy,
character
man.
from Nintendo, eating cheeseburgers.
It's crazy. Making a
I
cow
love
eat
it.
cheeseburger. It's just
You know what's funny to me? Because it takes time to render that kind of stuff. So you know that the person rendering it was halfway through and just they had to be laughing to themselves, right?
oh yeah.
Like
Had
this
to be.
this makes no sense. Let's see if
Yeah.
anybody catches it.
So silly.
Oh, yikes.
Man. Crazy. Yeah, I mean it's I don't know, it's interesting to see kind of the high level cliff notes though, of what it took to make Mario Kart World, and I didn't realize it was a journey that was that long. It kind of puts into perspective what kind of game, what level of game it'll probably be when it launches, because in the works
Yeah.
for a while, and Switch 2 really saved it. So shout out Switch 2. What's
Yeah,
that
shout out
like?
Switch too.
What's it coming out? Is it like a few weeks, something like that?
Yeah.
It's crazy,
Yeah, quite
man.
literally a few weeks. We're gonna see how successful it is. Everybody freaking out over the Trump tax tariffs that they're calling
Oh
them.
yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, the price is gonna go up and it's gonna be a battle for some people. I personally will not be getting the Switch 2 at release.
I won't either.
I'll be hanging out and just kind of waiting, wait and see,
Yeah,
But I'm sure I never get the consoles right when they come out anyway. I like to kind of
never.
feed into it. I want to just see how this all develops.
Yeah,
What
same.
games you got? Let's check that out next.
Yeah, dude. Yep. Sure.
Yes, sir.
It's all articles I had. Dude. Is it?
Yeah, a good selection of articles. It's just really good to kind of dive into it. I really liked, honestly, the biggest segment, and probably going to be the title of the article or the episode is about Marathon and Destiny. Paul Tassi lit up
Mm.
everybody at that studio, so yeah, got him good too. Yeah, but I don't know. I just don't know, man. Mario Kart World looked really cool. I really like the idea of the webcams. I'm gonna keep talking about that until I eventually get to try it.
Yeah.
I want to use my own webcam. I want to use this guy right here. This thing's so good, so clean.
Crazy.
Have that attached. But of course, it's gonna be like the lowest res possible because they're prioritizing gameplay over
Yeah.
like
Exactly. It'll
social
be
media stuff.
18p. It's gonna be lit.
Y- Yes, sir. But hey, it's getting kind of late. Why don't we let the people go? Do you have anything to add before I do the usual send off?
No, I don't think so, dude. Do what we do, or do what we don't, and that's play some games this week. You know.
Yeah, facts. Facts. We've been too
Mm,
busy doing IRL stuff. Weather's been so wonderful, man.
yeah.
That's the
Yes.
key. Yeah, the weather's been so
Yes.
nice around us, and I've been traveling around trying to figure out what the heck's going on in my life. But I think gonna be playing some games for sure. A little bit of Halo here and there. Gonna be jumping back on Marvel Rivals. One of my boys finally decided to play ranked. He is at my rank now. I can't. I don't have to solo queue anymore, bro.
Let's
We are
go.
alive. The Canes in 5.
Canes and
So
5, baby. Canes and
Canes in
5,
5,
baby.
baby. I can't wait to say the same thing next week. Canes in 7.
Canes and 6.
That's gonna be good.
Oh man.
Anyways, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. As always, if you want to check out all the links, well, not the links, but all the articles yourself, we give the shout outs of like where you can find them, who wrote them. But the big thing you can always do is click the link in the description below, take you straight to the article that we covered. We also have timestamps, so you can always come back to this episode. We know they get kind of long with an hour or whatever. Not everybody can listen to it, so listen to them in parts. We appreciate your time, and thanks for coming through. I'm Michael Ante. That's Kyle Heath. This has been the M2 Podcast. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out. Play some games. Do more
Some
than
games.
us. Be
Do
better
what we
than
don't.
us.